Hello and welcome back to our series where we are building a people and culture management system. This series is brought to you by Prairie HR Solutions. My name is Jake Finger, founder and principal consultant here at Prairie HR Solutions. And in this video, I want us to continue building out these controls and filters. We have a one level filter. Well, actually, it's a two level filter now. A user can come in here and essentially select a division, and it'll filter the data and populate it and do all the calculations here based on that one field. Then we can also do the same thing to our job title and so on. But now this is all company. This is the whole company right here. Every employee in the company that fits the finance specialist. So what we did was we allowed a user to come in and essentially lock the division. And then what that locking did was it then created this job titles to only filter by what was available in the facility. So any job title that was under the facilities will only be populated here. And then it'll run through its code here, update it, and do its thing. And the one thing that we didn't do was also do the same exact thing for the functional family and these four down here. So we'll have to end up doing that. And the other thing that we did not tell it to do was what happens when it does all jobs. So when it does all jobs, we would like it just to go back to the division filter. And it's not doing that because, well, we didn't tell it to. There is no filter value that's for all jobs. So we'll have to build that in, and that's going to be a simple if statement. And you'll notice that what we're doing here is going to be very, very heavy on if conditional statements. And anytime that you have a lot of if conditional statements, you're going to run into performance issues. Every time it runs something, it's going to slow it down. And right now we are calling quite a bit of data over and over repeatedly. And we're also going to be having a lot of if statements for each one of these boxes, these drop down scenarios. And what that's going to do is that's going to impact performance. And once we get, as usual, once we get this control and filter piece completely done, regardless of how long it takes it, then we can go back and work on streamlining our code, reducing the redundancies or removing them, and then also working on performance. Now, what will more than likely end up happening is we are going to take all of our data right off the bat and then store it inside a global variable of sorts, probably in a sense of like an object, to where our server side or our client side, this side here, will be able to just pull all that data available instead of having to call back and forth to the backend, that Google Apps Script side. So let's first focus on this all jobs thing. And then once we do that, we will then work on this functional family and the rest of these boxes and filtering those down. And then we will put this little box right here. And the other thing that was happening that I took care of outside of the episodes, and I'll show you what I did, was we were running into an issue down here with our functional family, these four drop downs here, to where when we unlocked it, it would then repopulate these to where instead of writing over it or replacing it, it would just add on to. So I'll show you what I did with that. So let's jump over here to our code and let's talk about that replacing our filter data or our drop down data. So we already did that with our divisions and our all jobs. All I did was take those four and did the same exact thing. So what that does is that removes everything that's in there. Then it runs our reset drop down, replaces that initial value with, that with this here, and then it would run the drop down, repopulate the drop downs, and then it would run the chart. So that's how I fixed that. So now let's look at what needs to happen in order to intercept that all jobs text when it's selected. So this function right here is not what I'm looking for. This function right here is what is run once that any drop-down box is selected. And what ends up happening is if it's checked, it just simply runs this one. If it's unchecked, then what we need to do is, or excuse me, if it's checked and we have our comp jobs filter, what it runs is this get div filter data with the comp division value and jobs value. And if this is select as all jobs, then all jobs is going to pass through here. But if you come over to our code, there is no way to handle a value that is all jobs, because what's happening is it's searching through that 18th index and looking for the value of this. And there is no job title that says all jobs. So what we can do is right inside here, we can check to where if this is all jobs value, then we simply map this. And if it's not, then we run this. So what we can do is come down here and write an if statement. And if that comp jobs value is strictly equal to all jobs, then we want to run something. And else, we want to run this. So let's make sure it's encased in our curly brackets. Okay, so now we just need to figure out what we want this to run. So we don't want to include this job filter map. What we want to do is we want to run the map on the div filter. So what we can actually do is grab this, copy it, and yes, this is redundant. Like I said, we will clean this up. And instead of this being job filter, this is going to be the div filter. And then if it doesn't equal all jobs, then it's just going to run this as normal. So let's save this and then come back and see if that took care of our issue there. Okay, so we have, let's grab human resources, filtered, and then we'll do a state. We'll do some job levels. Everything's resetting. That's good. And let's go down here to sales. Okay, and let's lock it. And then let's check sales manager, populates, and then all jobs. It should go back to sales. And it does. 67 people. Yep, good. So now that works. And if we release this, it should reset everything. All jobs, all divisions, all families, and everything. Okay, good. Good. So now let's take what we did with populating this field here, our job field, and do kind of the same exact thing that we did here with our job level. First, let's just put a button here so we know. Let's put the button here first, and then we'll work on these drop downs. So our button, or switch really, when we come up here to division, we have this switch right here. So let's go ahead and copy that, and we'll do the same exact thing that we did here, except it's not going to be the comp div switch. It's going to be the comp job switch. And we can just have it run that comp div lock. And that comp div lock, come over here. Checks this comp div switch. So let's copy this. And it's not going to be the comp div, it's going to be the comp job. And this is going to be the comp job. And so now what we need to do is say if the comp job switch, we need to check this now. So if the comp job switch is checked, oh, I'll just leave it here for now. We'll play with this later on, because right now, if anything else, it's just going to keep running like normal. But let's save this and see how it actually looks. See if there's anything that we need to change with it. So this should be populated right here. So let's refresh it, see what we got. Okay, so we have one. It pushes, absolutely nothing happens, which is good. It's just there. It's running a code, but nothing's happening. Except I'm noticing that when it fires, it is now increasing all of the drop downs, but we already know how to take care of that. And the reason it's doing that is because when we go to our unlock, what's happening is, yeah, we'll have to build in our piece here, because what's happening is it's running this over and over and over again. And what we're actually going to do is we're going to take this, we're going to get rid of this div filter lock because we don't need it. So let's just gut it, because the whole purpose was to just fire this off, and we don't need to fire that off. And we don't need this because there's nothing there. Okay, so now we can get this div filter locked thing completely off. Okay, so what we can actually do to keep that from happening is just simply erase this and don't have it call a function. So now when we save it and go back, and refresh it, getting an error. Oh, comp division has already been declared. Okay, so that's an easy fix. You're right, it sure has already been declared. And it was already declared right here, so we don't need this. Because it's been declared right here. Okay, so now we can come back here and refresh it. And that filter, it's there. It looks nice, but it's just not going to do a thing yet. So we're able to select something, and this filter does nothing except move back and forth. Okay, good. So now let's take a look at what's happening, this DD filter thing. So when we come back here to our code and we lock the division, what's happening is it's running this code here, and this code eventually ends up running this one, which is this get filtered DD data, and it's passing the value of our comp division, which is what we want. This is exactly what we want. Now, what we're going to do is we are actually going to first go over to our Google Apps Script side, this function, and just add those other fields in. So when we come over here, we'll scroll up here, and this is our filter. So our div filter is going to be the division, and this is going to be our filtered job list. So what we can actually do is carry this on, and let's create another variable called filtered functional family list. And now that list is going to be equal to the same exact thing because we're going to need to remove duplicates. Because remember, it's going to get the entire piece here. It's going to get everything. And the job list is at 18. So let's go find where that functional family is. Let's unfilter everything. So this is 18. Now remember, we are pulling this from an array. So that 18 is actually starting at the 0 index. So it's not 19, it's going to be 18. So what we need to do is we need to go all the way over here. And we haven't moved this yet, but we will eventually. And go all the way over. And that is 84, but remember we're at 0 index, so that's going to be 83. So now what we can do is come over here and type in ... new set. Remember that new set is actually removing the duplicates from our map here. And we're going to go through the row and we are going to extract everything at row 83. What we can do is just copy this and do it 3 more times. Now the one next to it is the job level. So let's grab this and call this job level. And this job level is going to be 84. And then the other one is going to be filtered state. And this last one is going to be, what is this last one? Employee number. Filtered emp number. Okay, so let's actually pause this here. Let's not have this return. Let's run some tests on this. Filtered division. Let's actually give this, let's pick on finance again. So let's run a bunch of logs. So let's do logger log our div filter. And then we'll do another logger log. And this time it'll be the filter functional family. And then so on and so on. Filtered state list. And this is going to be the filtered emp number list. And we're missing one, the job level. So this is going to be job level. Okay, so now let's, now we need another one. Job list. Okay, good. So now let's save this and then let's run it and see what. Nope. Nope. We're going to have to fix this. 83 and 83, we need to put the state list. Okay, so let's see the state and the employee number. So the employee number is 012 and the state is 15. 012 and 15. Okay, so now let's go back in here. So this is actually going to be 2 and this is going to be 15. Okay, so now let's save it and run it. And it should be this one here. So let's go ahead and run this thing and see what we get. Okay, so we're looking at this. So this is going to filter first by the entire finance division. So this should all be the finance division here. Yeah, finance division, finance division. Okay, yeah, this is all the financial divisions. And then it's going to count the job titles. And then this next one is going to be the level. So let's actually come over here and verify that what we have is correct. So let's come over here to division. Let's create a filter here first. Because when you do this, you want to make sure that everything that you actually have here is, accurate. And then we have our job level. So we have, looks like all of our job level. Okay. And our functional family, we have 15. So this is $15. We have all of our job levels, and it looks like we have one in every single state that we have available and international. And then we should have the filtered employees. Now, these are all based on our filtered division. So now what we can do is we can actually return this. Now, remember, we can't actually return we can't return this filter job list and then also return, we can't go down here and then say, okay, and then we're going to want you to return the filtered functional. Notice how it kind of grays out. It's not going to let you do that. You can only return one thing, but that one thing can also be in the form of an array. And what we can do in this array is we can fill this array with everything we need. So we can do that. And then we can do our job list. And then how we can access this is by simply assigning this by its index, 0, 1, 2, 3. And then this should be the employee number list. So let's make sure that we have everything filtered, functional, job, state, employee. Okay, good. So we can get rid of all this. And now what we need to do is, now that this is coming to us as an array, we need to be able to kind of handle that on our JavaScript side. So once it gets done with that, it's going to return this over here to our pop filtered comp DD. And what we're going to do is, I'm not going to do what we did up here. I mean, I suppose we could. We could just copy this, but let's do it the long way, just so you can see what we're doing, and then we'll change this to that. Then we'll do the shortcut. Okay, so it's bringing in this filtered data. And this filtered data is no longer just one thing. It's not one array, it's multiple arrays. So we need to filter this down for all jobs, the comp jobs here. We need to filter it down by 0. And then the next one, so that'll take care of the jobs. Then we're going to need to take this at index 1 and then assign it to something else. So what we can do is grab this, and then we'll just come down here and add it again. And now we need to grab, instead of the comp jobs, we now need to grab those other variables, or those other elements, and store them in variables. And those are going to be our functional family. So we need to create a variable for let this equal document.get element by ID, and that's going to be this. Oops, that's not right. It's going to be that. And then let's just go ahead and create the rest of them here. Need 3 more. So it's not going to be functional family, it's going to be the level. It's going to be that, not level E. Then it's going to be comp state. Here, comp state. And then employee number. Okay. So now you'll also see that we are resetting our dropdown. So we're going to have to change that again. What we'll have to do is just reset everything, and we'll probably just create helper functions for that. But let's get this thing going first. So this shouldn't be comp jobs. This should be comp functional family. And that's going to be 1. And then we'll grab this. And this is going to be filter data 2. Filter data 2 is job level. Job level. And this is going to be 3. And 3 is, oops, wrong one. 3 is the state and then the employee number. State, and the next one is going to be the employee number. And that should be at index number 4. Okay, so now that should take care of all of these. Let's get this working and then trim it. So let's save it. And then let's come back here to our page. Now this should slow down quite a bit. Maybe not considerably to where it's painful, but you'll notice a lag, especially if you're following along with us here. Okay, so something's not going on, right? Okay, comp functional family has already been declared. Okay, so let's go over here and see what that's about. So our comp functional family has been declared somewhere. So let's find out where. Okay, so it's been declared right there. So actually, if we remove this, yeah, after this, I'm going to take all these variables. Oh, I see. Hasn't been declared. It's been overwritten. This should be comp employee. No. Okay. Hasn't been actually declared, I believe, in the code globally as a constant, but it will be. Okay, so that's good. Okay, it's working fine. So now let's go ahead and select facilities again. Okay, so it's changing. Now these here are all of it. These have everything in it. So now let's lock it, and it should update our piece here, except it's updating it differently. So, okay, so our state's there and this is there. So let's actually come back here and refresh this. Because if you notice what was happening is it was giving ourselves the finance. Let's actually change this to marketing. So facilities was not populating the correct job title anymore. Now it looks like it's only picking finance. And the reason it's only picking finance, let's go back. Hopefully you'll see why it's only picking finance. So yep, it is only picking finance because that's the only thing it's checking. So this needs to be changed back to division. That was my mistake, obviously. Okay, so let's save it. Now let's go back and try this again. Okay, we'll refresh. I was wondering why there was an accountant in facilities, but we do have randomized data, so there's no telling. Okay, so let's do facilities again. Lock it. And now what will happen, nothing changes, but we should be able to only select the jobs. Yep, there we go. Only select the jobs that exist in the facilities. And we should see that facilities, let's go back to all jobs here. So we have 64 employees right here in our facilities department. So that means that out of those 64 employees, when we select our functional family, it appears that this has been trimmed. Our job levels have been trimmed. Our states have been trimmed, and our employee numbers. Check our employee numbers here. Yes, our employee numbers have been trimmed as well. So now what we need to do is essentially, because if you're following along and did this for yourself in whatever you're creating, you'll notice that these populated on top of everything again. So we'll just need to take care of that. So let's unlock this. Make sure everything goes back to the way it was. Yep. So let's go ahead and make sure that these are cleared before we repopulate it. So what we're going to need to do is come up here and wrong file. We need to grab all of these. Because this is refreshing it. But what's happening is when we're populating the data filter, we are not actually resetting them. And now we are. Okay, so now let's test this. Okay, what I did here was I just copied what we had before up there, all that reset stuff, and threw it in here underneath our all jobs. Because it was doing it for the all jobs, it just wasn't doing it for all of these. Okay, so let's come back here and refresh and see if that made a difference. So let's select human resources. Let's select something with a little bit different. Let's do the executive, which is at 5. Hey, look, that we have a moderate correlation. It's downhill, it's negative, but at least we have a correlation saying that we don't pay based on experience. Okay, so we have 5. So now let's lock this thing and let's check what we have here. So our all jobs, website developer, finance specialist, accountant, customer service. I know you're not able to see these just because of how the video software I'm using doesn't show these. But we have 5 of them. So now let's go to our functional family. And our functional family, we only have 4, which is, good, which is what's there. Job level, we only have 3, executive and 2. Now let's check our locations. Yep, 4 there, and we should only have 5 employee numbers. And we do. So now if we were able to select any one of these boxes, like say 24, it's resetting it. And that's an easy fix. But at least we populated this, because now what we need to do is we need to go update the get comp filter value to accept these here when this is locked. Okay, so now let's unlock this, and once it populates, we should have all of our pieces again, and it should have cleared it and then only populated the original ones, so we don't have them on top of each other. And we do. Perfect. So now that works. So I'm going to end this video here because we've just passed the 30-minute mark, and we like to keep it at 30 minutes so it's digestible. But the next video, what we're going to do is we are actually going to then work on one, getting these to filter essentially, and we're going to do that by jumping into our, well, first what we'll do is we will consolidate this. That will take maybe 30 seconds. And then what we're going to need to do is grab this, because right now the only thing that we are checking for is our comp jobs. And if we get the comp jobs, then we're sending that value to this. What we're going to need to do is then write if the comp filter, which is the target ID, equals the comp states, the comp that. So we're going to have to build out all of those if statements in order to get it to work. And then after we get done with that, then we will be able to go in here and focus on that other checkbox and then tie it together. So I hope you found this informative. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. Let us know that we should keep sharing the progress that we're doing when we're creating this PCM. And if you do have any ideas or questions that you would like us to address, or something that you'd like us to put together, please let us know. Our email is inside the description box. And until next time, please take care.